Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are not actually at my home. I mentioned in a video when I was cutting my potatoes that I had some potatoes that I was going to actually be planting in a friend's garden. So we are actually at my friend's house right now. That's her little chicken coop and we are in her garden. I'm going to show you the beds that we're going to be planting the potatoes in. So we have the potatoes that are already cut and you can see that they've kind of healed over pretty good. So we have this much potatoes and these are her beds, but this bed already has onions in it, and so I'm thinking we might use this one bed right here and the second one. I'm pretty sure that would be able to plant all of the potatoes, but we're gonna like sit them out and before we plant them. But this is her whole garden. She does have a little green stalk at the corner and her arch, so it's awesome. And then she has these containers. Hi friend. What's your name? Lauren. Yes, this is my friend Lauren and we're at her house and the kids are playing back there somewhere. So we're gonna sit out the potatoes and then we're gonna get planting them before her baby wakes up. Actually, I forgot about that. So So we just finished planting the 2 beds of potatoes and we were like talking about what Lauren actually wanted to do in her garden, and we were just talking and I was like, oh yeah, I should be recording. But we were talking about her green stalk because she has what is that? Oh, oregano. Yeah, oregano in it, and there's a strawberry plant right there. But if you guys have any ideas of what you think Lauren should plant in her green stalk, let us know. There's some carrots that didn't do good in it, and it could be like the soil, because it does look kind of woody. But so far what we figured out is like she has wisteria on this side of the gate, and then
that's a blackberry plant.
Is that a plant down there?
I don't know what that is. I left wildflower seeds here, and so it could be a wildflower, but eventually I don't know if it's be a weed.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
And then we were thinking about, I think we had said we could do green beans, pole green beans on the opening, could do cucumbers here, and maybe bush beans here. Then she has pots for her tomatoes, and then the one bed we could do peppers in, since she has potatoes here, onions there, and potatoes. And she was thinking about maybe building 2 more beds right here for like carrots and stuff like that. Oh, you guys haven't seen, this used to be my goat, Bucky. And now his name, his name is Bucky.
He used to be Bishop.
But he used to be Bishop. And what's her name?
That's Buttercup.
Buttercup. That's not a rooster.
No, that's one of my original hens. She eats eggs.
Oh, she's the egg eater. And who's that one?
Bluey and Mini Bluey. Those are, my mother-in-law gave me chickens before she moved to Alaska, and they were really little when she gave them to me. So I put them over here before integrating them, and now I put them over there and they come back. So, but they lay like there's eggs in there now, but they lay like a really dark brown, pretty egg.
Bucky looks pregnant.
Yeah, he looks pregnant. All the food.
Oh yeah, there is eggs in there. Is it? Oh, because that Easter egger lays blue eggs?
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't eat those.
Apparently not. Usually she eats eggs.
So what I love about Lauren's layout here is that I used to actually live next door to her. I used to live right there. Well, not to her, because obviously she didn't live here when I lived here. But what I love is that I used to live next door and I could have had goats and chickens and what else do you have?
Dogs on the garden.
Right, and a garden. Like I had a garden, but I didn't have goats or chickens. Even though I knew people that had, like in the neighborhood that had goats, I thought they were creepy. And I shared this before that I wanted a cow, not a goat. And I didn't want chickens because I was like, oh, I'll just wait till I get a bigger place, when I could have totally had chickens here.
Because we've got, I think 17 chickens.
Yeah, that's a
three
great.
of them are roosters.
Yeah, that's like a great amount of chickens, and I could have like already been collecting eggs and all the things, and I didn't. And so when I come to Lauren's house, it always just is like wow, like all the things that I could have been doing and I wasn't.
My original rooster.
Oh, the Polish chicken one.
Yeah, because I gave you his buddy and he didn't make it.
He looks wild.
Well, and he has no tail feathers because everybody picks them out.
Well, she's not poking you, so. What color eggs do you get? Green. Oh yeah, nice colors. He just looks creepy.
Yeah.
Isn't he the bully you said?
Well,
He bullies the other one.
he gets along with that Belgian one or whatever I think.
Yeah.
They do okay together, but they gang up on the black copper.
Oh, the black copper marin. Where's the black copper marin?
I don't know. He's usually off the side behind them. He might actually just be way on the other side of the run. I think that Belgian one is going to be the dominant root.
You think so?
That's why Frank got it.
He's very pretty though. Have you ever seen him mating with any of the hens?
He tries, and then that's what it like. One of the other roosters hears and then chases them off.
Oh no.
That's why he likes to be over there, because he has his own little group of ladies.
Oh, so if you collected eggs from over there, then they would be like half copper marin. Oh, and hatch them. Maybe I need to get some eggs from you and get some half copper marin chicken.
Do you need a copper marin rooster? He was yours anyway.
I know. We actually still have, what, 4 or 5 roosters. We're actually back home, just got here, and I've been meaning to actually check on my asparagus bed up front, at the front of my garden. I think, so I had 2 asparagus beds if you're new here, and I dug up 1 asparagus bed because it was just overgrown with weeds last year. Why can't I open this fence? Ugh, hold on. Okay. It was overgrown. It was overgrown with weeds last year, and so I dug out 1 of the beds and transplanted the asparagus, and I didn't know if they were going to survive or not, so that I could cover that bed with the black plastic to see if I could kill some of the weeds. Well, it was so hard to dig up all of that asparagus that I decided to leave the second bed of asparagus to see if any asparagus was going to grow, and just kind of see if I could deal with the weeds. But I know that it's time for asparagus to actually have grown up, and I'm looking at this bed right now. This whole bed, that is just full of weeds, and I do not actually see any signs of asparagus growing in between weeds. So basically what this leaves me with is thinking that all of the asparagus has just gotten outgrown by the weeds, and so I'm gonna come this way because right now is the time that asparagus, if I would have had any, would have came up, and I actually do not. There's not even 1 asparagus, so I think this whole bed is weeds. So what I'm actually probably gonna do is, when my son has time, weed eat all this down and then cover it with this black plastic. We took this bed off. We took the plastic off of this one, and you can kind of see there's still some weeds that he left there, but all of the weeds that was left in here was mostly, all of the weeds that was left in here were starred from, they were like white because the plastic was on them. But I now need to cover this bed because this is one of the beds that I want to plant flowers in. And I have some flowers that are inside of the hoop house that are ready to come out. They're like cold weather flowers, like snapdragons and bachelor buttons, and I didn't really have a bed ready. So while I was at my friend's house, Aiden actually pulled the weeds out of this bed. So I just was coming over here to, 1, check the status of that asparagus bed. So I'm actually going to call that a bust and assume that the asparagus is not alive in that bed, which is very unfortunate that it got overtaken with weeds. But I'd rather plant asparagus in my raised beds, the metal raised beds, because it's higher and less likely to get run over with weeds like that. And then just cover that for the whole season and see if I can kill back some of that weeds without having to dig it all out. But glad that this bed is all done. It looks great. I can see that it actually has some rabbit manure in there that we accidentally dropped on this bed. So that's really nice that that bed is already done for me. I have like an hour of daylight left. I can't believe how green this. Wow, I did not know. Oh my goodness. I did not realize that potatoes had started growing in this bed. This is the first bed we planted potatoes in, and we had covered it, and I showed you guys, but I didn't know that it actually started growing. This is the second bed we planted potatoes in, and there's none popping up here, but that's so cool that it has started popping up here. So I didn't have enough time. I don't think I have enough time to lay down the landscape fabric, but what I did have enough time to do is I'm going to plant my squashes. I have both my summer squashes and then my zucchinis here, and I had already started bagging some up the other day, and I just went ahead and bagged the last few. I'm going to be doing 2 of each kind, and I'm going to plant like 2 seeds in each one to make sure I get like 1. I'm using these little baggies, and so that way I can just transplant the whole bag into the ground, because I shared in a previous video that I don't remember having, when I transplanted some squashes last year, some of them, I thought it was the bed, because some of them in the metal raised beds did not do great, and then some of them that I planted in ground, and they both were transplanted, did awesome. So I was thinking it was the soil, but now that I'm thinking about it, it could be the ones that I transplanted in the metal raised beds just got like their roots more disturbed. I'm not really sure, but to avoid that, I'm going to be, I did plant some squashes, like winter squashes in soil blocks, and cucumbers in soil blocks, and for my squashes I decided to plant them in this bag, so that way I could just plant the whole bag out into the garden. So besides just my regular zucchini and squashes that I'm going to be growing, I'm also planting some winter squash that I can grow up trellises, so they're going to all be small, like this blue Hubbard, black futsu, delicata, a butterscotch, which is like a small butternut squash, a honey boat, yeah, this is also a winter squash, this sweet dumpling, sweet meat, and this buttercup. I think I got one of these last year, because these are all the ones that I want to grow up trellises in my garden, and I forgot how many places I'm going to be growing trellises, but I counted it, and that is how many, this is how many I could fit. I think I'm going to sit this tray inside the house with me. I've actually sat my cucumber and I think that was all cucumber tray inside the house with me as well. I don't remember if something else was planted on there, so I could keep an eye on it. I'm also gonna, I think I'm gonna sit this inside the house as well, so that I can keep an eye on it drying out. It's been getting up into like the 80 degrees outside, which makes it really hot in here, and I know my peppers and tomatoes are doing fine in here because they're being bottom watered and stuff, but with these seedlings I want to make sure that I'm keeping an eye on them. So I think I'm going to leave them inside my house. I've actually checked the weather. My last estimated frost this year, they actually moved it up to March 27th, which is a week earlier than usually, which is April 2nd. And I've been checking the forecast, and there's actually not a freeze every day I check it from now all the way until I think the 22nd, which is really interesting, because if they're right, it would either have to freeze in that last week, which I can't see right now because I'm just looking at a 10-day forecast, or we might just have an early spring and it might not freeze, but we shall see, because the last 2 years it did freeze into April. So I'm very, very curious. I'm looking at the weather every day just so I can see how far in advance. There's 2 days next week, or close to like the 10-day, maybe like day 8 and 9, where it says the low is 39, which can easily, you know, drop down to freezing. Maybe not a hard freeze, but it could drop down to like 32. It could change since it's still so far out. I know my plants in here will be fine even if it got down to exactly 32, because my peppers in here didn't die until it got down to 15 degrees outside. So I'm not really worried about my plants being in here. What I'm really worried about is when it's time to plant outside. But I still feel like I'm on track. I do still have 2 trays of tomatoes that I need to up pot, but I think I'm doing pretty good, and I feel level-headed and feel okay about everything that I got going on outside. The only thing that I'm worried about is the flowers, because I don't know if I'm gonna have enough flowers. I don't know if I shared that in a video. Well, I did mention that my zinnias and marigolds, but even some other flowers that I had planted that were cool weather, they're still really tiny. Like some of my snapdragons and some of my bachelor buttons that I started in here that I want to transplant outside are still really tiny. So I don't really know if I'm gonna have enough flowers to fill up all 7 of my log raised beds. I may have to shift gear and plant some other things in those raised beds, or just buy seeds. If the seeds that I planted, my zinnias and my marigolds, don't germinate, that I planted a couple days ago, I might just have to buy some seeds and directly sow them into the garden. But all that stuff that we can think about later. I'm going to go ahead and water this tray, bring it inside, and call it a night. What time is it? It's actually 5:27. So I probably have a little longer of daylight than I was thinking, but I'm going to end the video here and check my list, and let me see. Yep, I did plant my squashes and zucchinis. The only other thing that is on my list for week 4 to plant are melons, and I can plant radishes outside. But I'm on track really for, which actually in 3 days I'll actually be 3 weeks from my last frost. So I'm doing pretty good. I will see you guys on my next video. Bye guys.